Hello everyone, we are Meeples Abroad and today we're going to talk through one of our new favourite games, Wingspan. Okay, so let's talk through setup first of all. Give each player one of these player boards, one for everyone. I'd normally put one for each player, but I'll just do my own for the purpose of this video. Next, give each player 5 bird cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Bird card looks like this, and we'll talk more about those shortly. Give each player one of each of the types of food. So we've got cherry, fish, grub, grain and mouse. And give each player 2 bonus cards, of which they choose to keep one of them and to discard the other. Right, we're also going to get rid of some of these. So I'm going to choose how many bird cards I want to keep, and for every bird card I keep, I have to get rid of one of my foods. So I'm going to keep, let's keep these 2 here, which means I need to get rid of 2 of my food if I'm going to discard these, and I'm going to get rid of these 2. I'm going to get rid of the mouse and the fish. The rest will be discarded. Right, we're still on setup. Give each player 8 cubes in their colour, so I'm going to play with green. Starting player token is going to go to me, and let's take out the bird feeder. This is where we are going to have our dice, which will determine the food in the game. Turn over a card for each of the spaces. These cards are random. I'm not sure we need 3 piles, but we certainly need 3 exposed here. And take out the end of round scoring card, which I'll place just here. Each game, the end of round bonuses are going to be a little bit different, so we have some random tiles for these, and we're going to lay them out just like this. Okay, and we'll look at what the round bonuses are when we get to the end of the round. Okay, and we are ready to go. Okay, so in one round, you're going to make 8 moves. Each move, each turn will be based on where you place your cube. And you have 4 options each time. You can either play a bird, you can gain food, you can lay eggs, or you can draw bird cards. If you want to start by playing a bird, you're going to place your cube on the player bird. What that allows you to do is place one of the bird cards in your hand onto one of the spaces on your own board. Now there is some rules to this. You do have to work from left to right, and your birds must be played in their correct environment. So if you look at my bird cards here, we can see that this one must be played down in either the rivers or in the fields. Whereas this card here, this bird, can only be played up in the forest. So I've chosen to play a bird card, and I'm going to start by playing this card here. Now I'm going to play it in the forest. In order to buy this bird, I have to pay its cost. I have to feed it, and it takes a worm and a grain. So I'm going to place it and give up a worm and a grain. Okay, now I have to place it on the leftmost space, but if I was to later on in the game have some more bird cards and I was able to pay for them, then I would place my next card just here, and so on and so forth. Okay, so that's playing a bird. Next option, on a future turn, I might want to gain food. So, if I want to gain food, if I want to do any of these options, I place it in the leftmost unoccupied space. So for gaining food, I would place it here, whereas if I was laying eggs, I'd place it here, or drawing bird cards here. Okay, so I place it there. And this indicates how I take food. So I'm going to be taking 1 food. Later on in the game, however, if I had had more bird cards laid down, something that looked like this, then I'd be able to do a lot more. So if I was to gain food this time, I would actually be gaining 2 food. Let's look at where we're getting food from. It comes from here, from the bird feeder. So at the start of each round, we should have actually done this to begin with, we will roll the dice through the bird feeder, and it shows us what food is available. So at this hypothetical time later on in the game, I am taking 2 food. I might keep an eye on what food I need to buy my particular birds. Okay, and I want some of this grain, so I'm going to take out a grain, and I also want a mouse. So I take them out of the feeder, and I swap them for the food which goes into my supply just here. Now this actually isn't the end of my turn. because what I'm going to do then is cycle my cube through each of the cards. And I do this because it might activate some powers on some of my cards. In fact, any bird with a brown banner is going to come with a special surprise. So this bird here says that when it's activated, we will tuck a bird card from your hand behind this bird. If you do, gain 1 grain from the supply. Okay, so I am allowed to tuck 1 bird from my hand, probably something that I'm not bothered for actually putting into my enclosures later on, and I put it behind the card. That'll be a victory point at the end of the game, otherwise nothing's going to happen. If I do, take a grain from the supply, thank you, much appreciated. Okay, I then cycle through the other birds. They don't have a brown banner, so nothing activates. But what you'll notice is, these other cards do have a special something. These would have actually activated when played. So this card here says, when it's played, draw 2 new bonus cards and keep 1. So I would have actually done that at the point when I laid this card out. So take 2 bonus cards and keep 1. Okay, so I'm going to keep this one. Now, bonus cards are useful for scoring at the end of the game. Something I didn't mention actually at the start was every player does take 2 cards, has a look at them, and puts 1 back. So every player does have a bonus card. Okay, next. So we have considered playing a bird, and we have done gain food. Let's do the next action, laying eggs. So early on into the game, I might have nothing laid down here. So I have to place the cube at this point, and it instructs me to take 2 eggs. I take them from the general supply, the colour doesn't matter, and I place them actually on my birds. Now, each of your bird cards shows you how many eggs it can hold. So this bird can hold 2 eggs, this bird can hold 5 eggs, and this bird can hold 2 eggs also. I'm going to place 1 here and 1 here. It doesn't really matter too much where you place them, but there might be some end of round bonuses where it does matter where your eggs are. So you can see here, that's actually the case quite a lot of the time. We'll be looking for who's got most eggs in the river and who's got most eggs in this special type of nest, for example. Okay, well, what are the eggs good for, I hear you ask? Because we haven't actually used the eggs yet. If we are laying any birds in this first column, we can lay them for free with just the cost of feeding the bird. But as we lay them in subsequent columns, as well as paying the cost of the food, we also have to pay some egg cost. So when I built this bird here, I actually would have given up an egg from any of my cards and put it back in the general supply. Later on in the game, when we're building into these columns, we'll need to give up 2 eggs from anywhere on our board into the general supply. So you will need food, which you get from this row. You'll also need eggs, which you get by activating this row. And your fourth and final option is to draw a bird card. So let's say we are at a hypothetical point in the game where I've already laid some birds down here on previous goes. I will place this one on the leftmost unoccupied space, which tells me I'm going to be drawing 2 bird cards, and I can do that from any of the 3 that are available to me here, or I can take a surprise one. Again, these piles don't matter, they're all the same type of card. Okay, so I think, well, I quite like this one here because I'm wanting to lay something out in the fields at some point, so I'll take that one. This isn't replenished right away, but instead I don't want any of these, so I am going to take another card and I'll take it from here. It's still not quite replenished because I still need to finish my go, and I cycle through this row, activating any brown banners along the way. So this says, when activated, roll all dice that are not in the bird feeder, and if any of them are fish, then you gain 1 fish and add it to this card. Okay, so let's have a look. There are 2 dice that are currently not in the bird feeder, so I'm going to roll them. I'm just going to put them here. If they had been fish, I'd get to take them, but they weren't. So nothing happened there. Nothing happens when we have a white banner, and we go here. Okay, let's just look at the other types of bird, because brown banner activates as we move the cube across. Some birds have this white banner, which means they activate straight away as soon as you put them down. So we've already looked at those, but there's one other type I just want to show you, which might be in here. And they're quite special and quite rare, so you won't see too many of them, but they will have a pink banner. And perhaps I haven't shuffled these very well because I'm not seeing pink banners right now. There is one. Okay, so these pink banner cards give you powers which will activate several times, not on your turn. So this says once between turns, when another player plays a bird into the river, you gain 1 fish from the supply. So between turns, that means it's my go, then it's player B. If they lay one in the river, then I get to take a fish. If player C does it, I don't, because I've already activated it between that turn. Okay, so in round 1 you have 8 cubes, so you will have 8 of them cycling through, doing your different powers from your birds as you go along. And then the round will end when each player has used all 8 of their cubes. At this point, we have a look at the end of round bonuses, and we see who has achieved the most of what we're looking for. So in round 1, and this does change each game, in round 1, the biggest bonus will go to the player who has the most bird cards in their enclosure. At round 2, it will go to the player who has most eggs in this type of nest. In round 3, whoever has most eggs laid specifically in the fields, and finally in round 4, whoever has most eggs specifically in the rivers. So you might decide to do particular actions in particular rounds in order to get these bonuses. Okay, so I'm going to be playing with yellow in this game, and I am saying that I gave myself the win here. I had more cards than yellow did in this hypothetical situation. So what I'm actually going to do, after taking all of my green counters back, is take one of my 8 and place it just here. Now that will give me 4 victory points at the end of the game. Yellow also has to take one and place it there, and they will get 1 victory point at the end of the game. Now you'll note I'm actually down to 7 cubes now. So in round 2 I will only have 7 turns. In round 3 I'll only have 6 turns, and in round 4 I will have only 5 turns. And though I'm having fewer turns, I'll be building up the cards in my I have down here in my grid. So I will actually be getting more for my money actually. So each turn I'll be cycling through more cards. So more will actually happen with each cube. And they will also be worth more, because in later rounds I'll be getting more food, such as 3 food, or I'll be getting 2 bird cards, where in the earlier rounds we might have only be getting 1 bird card before we had our birdstone. Okay, and there's a few things that we just need to do to tidy up the end of round 1. That is to hand the first player token to the person to the left. We also need to discard any birds on show, just in case there's anything growing a little bit stagnant, and we'll replenish those. We actually don't re-roll these, but then we get on with it all over again. Okay, so this will happen 4 times. We'll play 4 rounds, and then we'll go into the final scoring, which I'll talk you through just now. So here is our scoring grid, and we're going to get points as follows. First of all, birds. So that's what we're here for. Our best wingspans and our greatest bird points, and we'll see down our plateau there is victory points associated with each of our birds, so you'll top those up. Next, bonus cards. You'll remember that we had some special bonuses. Every player starts with 1, you might get more throughout the game. If you achieve them, you will get bonus points. Next, end of round goals. That was what we had going on down here. So you'll tot up how you did. It might be that you've shared the victory in some of them. Just share them out accordingly. Those are a lot of your points. There are some leftover points as well. Any eggs that you have on your cards will get you 1 point. Food in your supply doesn't get any points, but you might end up with some food on your cards due to some special brown bonuses. That will get you a point also. And finally, any tucked cards. You remember earlier on I tucked a card down here. Until this point it's inconsequential. I get 1 point for every tucked card. Tot them up, see who's got the most, and whoever does is the winner of Wingspan. And that's it guys, that's it from Meeples Abroad. We hope you enjoyed our How to Play Wingspan. Check out our YouTube channel, subscribe, and also see our Instagram. Bye bye!